Okay, guys, here we are, week 7, feeling a little bit better today. Ready to get into some previews and get this thing going. Um, First matchup of the week, the Commissioner, Zika virus versus King of the North, which is, of course, Tony Sr. Um, Gonna be a tough matchup for me in this one. He's got his Chiefs in a cherry matchup at home against the Bengals on Sunday night. It's scary. Mahomes, Hill, Kelsey, they should all have big games. Um, but of course, the big news is that I moved Nuke Hopkins and got myself Alvin Kamara in a deal with Jared. So now Senior has to face his nemesis, Mike Evans, who basically destroys his life every time he plays him. So I expect Mike Evans to go for about 30 points in this matchup. Uh, my bold prediction, Mike Evans is going to outscore Senior's receivers combined, whichever two of them he plays. Mike Evans going to outscore both of them combined. I expect him to see a lot of EJ Gaines in that matchup with the Browns, and EJ Gaines 5'9", 190 pounds. So Mike Evans is going to roast him. There you go. So Zika virus getting the W and about to go on a run, guys. I'm about to go on a run. So if I can beat King of the North and knock him out of his first place perch, what chance do the rest of you guys stand? So on to Team Elite, which is, of course, Steve versus Buck Effin Allen, which is, of course, Jared, who recently traded away Alvin Kamara. Okay, so he got Nuke Hopkins in the deal, and Nuke is playing at Jacksonville, but I don't think it matters. He's Nuke Hopkins, and Nuke Hopkins is going to eat. Steve's got some horrendously bad matchups. Sony Michel at Chicago, Michael Thomas at Baltimore. That's right, Steve has Michael Thomas because he traded away Antonio freaking Brown for him. So time will tell, guys. You guys be the judge. Jameis Winston at home against the Browns is a huge matchup for Steve. He ought to have a big game. Not in love with the Eagles defense against Cam Newton and the Panthers. The Panthers score some points and they don't turn it over that much. All that being said, I gotta give the nod to Steve here. I don't see Jared putting up a ton of points. Got a bunch of points last week. I don't see that happening in back-to-back weeks. So Team Elite getting the W behind a big performance from Jabu Jameis Winston. Now, on to our third matchup, Saquon D's Nuts versus the Fighting Kavanaughs. I feel like Yahoo has Baker Mayfield woefully underprojected in a game at Tampa Bay. Michael Crabtree ought to eat against the Saints. It's going to be a shootout. It's kind of an under-the-radar shootout. I think that game's going to be a lot higher scoring than people think. Of course, Mark Ingram's going to be useless against Baltimore because it's going to be the Alvin and the Chipmunks show. Alvin Kamara is going to dominate. Joe Mixon should just roast the Chiefs. And, we're looking at a situation here where, Joe's got some good pieces, but with Antonio Brown on bye, I don't see it happening. He's going to start the worst Brown, John Brown, who's in worst place, first place for worst place. He's just awful. Love Emmanuel Sanders at Arizona. My bold prediction for this game, though, is that Mark Ingram is going to go back to irrelevancy and score less than 8 points at Baltimore. So behind that effort, I still got to pick the Fighting Kavanaughs for the W, and Jason's season's going to be rolling right around 4-3 at that point. And Joe's going to be in the basement. Going to have to sell Saquon to try and make something happen, but we'll see. It'll be another week before you hit full-on panic, but I'll talk to you next week. It's fine. So on to Steve Hunch Johnson, which is, of course, Tony Jr., versus Comeback, which is, of course, Matt Mers. Lot of good matchups on Tony Jr.'s side of things. Even David Johnson at home against Denver. You don't think of Denver as being a particularly soft matchup, but they are against the run. They do not do well against the run. They can be gashed up the middle all day long. Carlos Hyde at Tampa Bay. I love it. Kareem Hunt out it. I hope Kareem Hunt has a big game against the Bengals because that means Pat Mahomes isn't doing as well. So Andy Reid, if for some reason you're watching this, I don't know why you would be, but give Kareem Hunt the ball, especially at the goal line. So I'm looking at, as far as Merz's team goes, Julio and Beckham is the crutch of his team. Both really underperforming to date. I got to give the nod to Steve Hunch Johnson here. Tony Jr., Adam Thielen is the best wideout in fantasy. My bold prediction, though, is that he is not going to be the highest scoring wideout in this game. In fact, he is going to be the third highest scoring wideout behind A.J. Green, who's going to be number 1, and Odell Beckham Jr., who's going to be number 2. He's going to have a really big game. But Tony Jr. gets the W. And finally, we have Elite Kicker 1 versus White Flag. So Reese versus Rich. You know, the fact that Rich is playing Reese just makes the attempted trade rape of Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski from Rich even worse. Just a horrible, horrible offer that a real friend of yours would never make, Rich, just so you know. So that being said, Reese is going to just go down with the ship with this Ram strategy. It's not going to work. Again, he'll score probably around 90 to 100. But it very well might be enough this week. Tough matchup for Gronkowski at Chicago. Matt Ryan against the Giants is probably a pretty good matchup. We'll see how that plays out, though. Love me some Tariq Cohen in what's going to be a shootout with the Patriots. My bold prediction is that Tariq Cohen outscores Todd Gurley this week. Yeah, you heard me. Tariq Cohen outscores Todd Gurley this week. En route to White Flag, Rich picking up the W over Reese, who's going into a tailspin. So that's what I got for you guys, and I will see you next week with